Enterprise.
Got.
I'm proceeding to the lab, sir.
Maintain an open frequency, Mr. Data.
Aye, sir.
Increase to full power!
Gives me the creeps. I feel like something's watching us.
Savick, you go right on quoting regulations.
Hello, computer.
I knew I would.
You betrayed your uniform!
Target their cargo hold. Time to take out the garbage.
Smooth as an android's bottom, eh, Data?
I beg your pardon, sir.
Aspires to be better than I am.
Come on. It's gonna be fine.
5 years in space. God help me.
This is the best day of my life!
A phaser? You didn't use it? Swords are fun.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Welcome back to another Retrek review, where each week we talk about Star Trek, and this week we're talking about episode 24 of Star Trek The Next Generation's first season, and that episode is entitled We'll Always Have Paris. It originally aired May 2nd, 1988. It was written by Deborah Dean Davis and Hannah Louise Shearer. And Hannah Louise Shearer had also written When the Bow Breaks. She was uncredited for rewriting Coming of Age, and she wrote the teleplay of Skin of Evil. It was directed by Robert Becker. The synopsis for We'll Always Have Paris is Captain Picard encounters a woman from his past after her scientist husband's experiments begin to unravel the fabric of time. We had a list of guest appearances, and those are Michelle Phillips as Janice Mannheim. And crazy enough, Michelle Phillips is one of the mamas from the Mamas and the Papas.
Oh.
She's one of the people from the band who co-wrote California Dreamin'.
Mm.
And then we have Rod Loomis, who played Paul Mannheim. Might be a familiar face because he stars in the 1989 classic Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure as Sigmund Freud.
Mm.
So funny enough,
That's funny.
Bill and Ted had a lot of weird filming issues.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure they filmed in 1987, and then that movie came out in 89.
Uh-huh.
So when Rod Loomis was on this episode doing Star Trek, he had already filmed Bill and Ted and been a part of it and moved on from it, and the movie hadn't even come out yet.
Wow.
So, pretty funny.
That's crazy.
Then we had Isabel Lorca as Gabrielle, the girl in the French cafe. Dan Kern as Lieutenant Dean doing the fencing with Picard. Jean-Paul Vignon as Edouard. He was the waiter in the France scene. Kelly Ashmore as Francine. Not sure who she was. Didn't give me a great thing. I think it's the lady that talks to Gabrielle and gets up and leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lance Spellerberg as the transporter chief.
Yeah.
So that is our introduction to the episode. But before we move on, let's head on over to Caleb and ask Caleb what he thought of the episode.
I don't know. While I was watching it last night, I enjoyed it for the most part. But now, like this morning, I really just can't pinpoint like why I enjoyed it. Like there's a couple things that I enjoy about it, but overall it's just kind of like I don't know. Doesn't leave me with anything, you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
I'll stay where I always stay, right in the middle.
Yeah, another
Yeah.
Roddenberry. I got you.
You know.
We'll kind of tackle it a little bit in trivia, but it is definitely the result of people wanting multiple plots in a story. I think for you and I, the stuff that's interesting is the stuff that the main writers didn't want for the episode. So, um,
The stuff that's interesting is the space stuff.
yes, correct.
You know, the time skipping and the space anomalies, like that's what
Yes.
was fun.
And the main writers did not want that to happen.
No. This whole like Picard had like a girlfriend back in France that he abandoned
Right.
and then Beverly all of a sudden was like telling Deanna that like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't like me because of this woman." And I was like, where is this even coming from?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just so forced and just yeah. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for the time skipping and data,
Yeah.
I mean, this episode would it just be so unmemorable.
Very much so. I agree
I
with you.
don't I don't really get it.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to digging in. I wrote down a lot of things. But before we get into that, let's move on to supporters of the channel. And right off the bat, whoa, we want to thank Ed Mark Starr for being a Patreon member and a supporter of the channel. We appreciate him being our chief engineer and keeping our Retrek review ship afloat.
So he's swapping over the Luxian crystals and stuff.
That's right. And because he is a Patreon member, he gets the benefit of us reading a comment on the review. But if you left a comment on one of our reviews, make sure you check out our new series called Hailing Frequencies Open, where we go over there and talk about other comments on that series and give that some light of day. But if you want to have your comment read like Ed's about to have his read, make sure you head on over to Patreon and find a tier that best works for you. So here's what Ed said for our Skin of Evil episode. He says, consider Starship personnel. There may be several classifications of Starship staff, and it's possible that many assigned for a standard 2-year tour of duty. At the end of the period of service, personnel may sign again to continue Starship service or exercise options to attend other opportunities within Starfleet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Denise Crosby's character, Tasha Yar, offered a unique opportunity to see Starship personnel end their period of service and move on to other Starfleet careers or return to civilian life. Tasha's leaving could have been more respectful. Production executives didn't have to go, the monster got Tasha cliche of 1950s sci fi personified by Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah.
And he says, Starfleet and the Federation are never handled in a way that suggests wide-ranging organizations made up of hundreds, if not thousands, working on behalf of humanity's goal of reaching out to the universe. World building is not restricted to movies. TV shows can do the same, but it takes real talent. Yeah, it's really rough because, like, we were talking about in that episode that Worf obviously feels very ham-fisted into becoming the chief of security, and for really no good reason, Tasha is
Mm-hmm.
just killed, so that can just happen.
Yeah, that's the reason.
And it's a hard balance. I agree with his last sentiments about Starfleet and the Federation not feeling like they're a galactic-wide organization. It's like I know that space is vast, and the opportunities to come across planets that have aliens or no aliens or interesting things or not interesting things, I know
Yeah.
are pretty hard to calculate for us because, you know, they say there's
Yeah.
supposed to be like over 100 billion stars in our galaxy. So you have that much of an opportunity to run into other aliens.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just feels like it's only the Enterprise and maybe like one other ship out there doing
Yeah, I
something.
know. Somebody else commented that last week that we talked about too. It
Yeah.
was just that it feels like the Enterprise is the only ship out there doing anything all like always. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it does.
So sadly, forced to agree. It would have been
Yeah.
nice to see Denise Crosby. I think I said it in one of the comments, or maybe I said it out loud, but I honestly would have legitimately enjoyed seeing Denise Crosby like grow and become a better character with the rest of the cast. Like it would have been
Yeah.
nice if she continued all 7 seasons and had nice story arcs and she became a thing. And I mean, I could just tell you it's not really a spoiler. Like she's not even in any of them. She's not in any of the movies. She's not in season 3 of Picard. Like they
No, she
just,
did.
she's just gone, you know?
Yeah. Here's what I was thinking about. Before she died, was she better than the first episode that we saw her in? And I think like she was. I think she was a better character by then.
Yeah, I think she's softer. I think she's not as like rigid and like the stuff that she does where she kicks the guy in Q's courtroom and like
Yeah.
she like arm drags that guy for bringing the box to Picard in Code of Honor.
Yeah.
Like, yes, she does kind of just be like, I don't care, oil slick man. I'm just gonna walk over here and he slaps her. Yeah, okay, like sure, she's a little impatient or not considerate, but that scene doesn't feel the same as the other scenes early on, where she's just like reactionary and violent for really no good reason.
Yeah, I think she was better than that first episode that she was in for sure.
I think so too. She's a good sport about it, Denise Crosby. Like she goes to Star Trek conventions. She, you know, talks positively generally about her experience. So
How was she received?
I think there's the rule of thumb out there, like most TV shows. You have your people out there that are like really happy that she passed away in the show because, you know, they hate her character.
Yeah.
So when she's gone, they're like, oh, this is great. And then you have your other people who are perpetually sad and really wish that she got a chance and didn't have to die. So I think it's a mix. I think generally she's not really considered. You know, she's only in like 23 episodes or something like that. So
Yeah.
out of the, I don't even know, like 160 episodes or something. So,
And it's season one that nobody really goes
right.
back
And also,
and
right.
rewatches and talks about either.
And
So
also that, right.
so that doesn't help.
Well, we thank you all for your comments in general and the likes and the subscriptions that you guys do. We appreciate all of that. We look forward to tackling other comments on our new series as mentioned. But without further ado, let's get into the review. So, I'm not sure if you'll have the same reaction I did to it, but maybe you do.
Yeah.
I felt that the fencing opening was interesting
Hmm.
solely because it made the ship and the crew feel alive and kind of gave me like an Enterprise feel where they're doing something else besides sitting in a chair and looking at space things.
Yeah. No, I agree. When I it started, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good one.
Okay.
It's nice to see Picard doing anything else on board and actually like interacting with, people. I thought that was cool. I thought that like the actual computer like monitoring thing where it
Mm,
like showed up on the screen that they
yeah.
had been hit was cool. It like legitimately made me want to like learn fencing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I did. I liked that. I thought that was good.
Cool. Yeah, I genuinely feel the same way too. I actually also thought the two of them like acted really well and like
Hmm.
weirdly really made like a good scene, which then bled into me thinking about imagine being aware that you're repeating yourself, but you can't stop
Yeah, it sounds horrifying.
it. Because like they say their thing where he's like, that's all right, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden it's like, go, and they go and they say it again. And then he's like, wait, Captain, whoa, what was that? And I was like, that means you're super aware about that you were about to
Yeah.
say the same thing.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
that like they even remembered that it happened after too.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's not kind of normal. Normally, you would just be like, you would repeat it, and then somebody else would, have to break out of the loop or something. But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty terrifying. Pretty terrifying
Yeah, it doesn't sound
experience.
fun.
And it was uh it was only at the first moment when Picard comes onto the bridge that when Worf is talking. Um that's pretty normal. That's a pretty normal feeling for regular next gen fans of the future, where you're just like,
Hmm.
Worf is giving Picard the breakdown of what's going on, and he's, Captain, blah blah blah, here's this thing, and I'm getting this thing from this location, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
people who have seen Next Generation are like, familiarity. But I felt like Yar's absence like immediately. Like
Yeah.
it just made me think like, oh yeah, she is, just reminded me like she's gone.
Yeah, Worf didn't take too long to
No,
think about that promotion, did he?
no, no. I thought Picard like smacking his lap with the towel or whatever that was.
Hmm.
It'd be interesting. I thought that that was like an interesting decision for him to do, like
I like
fidgeting
that.
essentially.
Yeah, I like that he wears
Oh,
the fencing uniform. In Paramount, you can see like it'll say like, next episode or whatever, and it shows a picture and it shows Picard sitting in the captain chair with this white
mm.
uniform on, and I was like, "Oh, cool, new uniform. That'll be fun to see." But
Not so much.
it wasn't a new uniform. It was just this fencing gear.
How'd you feel about that Troy part rather before he goes into the turbo lift? Like, I like that she was doing her job, but
Yeah, like newsflash, humans have emotions.
yeah,
Like it's so foreign to her. Because that's
yeah,
really all that scene was like, oh, Captain, you have like strong emotions about this thing. Like you should get it checked or you'll make bad decisions. He's
yeah.
like, yeah, thanks.
And then he at no point in the show makes bad decisions,
No, no. It's like it's her first
unless
day on the ship.
unless we count some things that happen in the episode later on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bad scene. It's just not knowing what to do with her character. That's all it
Yes,
is.
yes.
So anytime she has a bad scene, I'm just like, they still don't have any idea what her role on the ship is.
Nope, they absolutely don't. But
Yeah.
I laughed really hard when Picard is describing the thing at the holodeck and it opens up and we see futuristic Paris, and I said, "Huh, guess France really does exist."
I guess it blew up not long after that.
The only thing I could think about in that episode is that they were suggesting that the government, like the France nation, no longer exists, and they're just now Earth is all united, and like where Paris and all these other places there, they exist, they're just not within the France boundaries. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's what they meant, but it does not come across that way in that scene at all.
No, I don't. I don't get it. It's real weird.
It is
They
really
really
weird.
make it sound like it's gone,
Right, exactly,
and it
yeah.
like really affects him because he spent time there and that's where he's from. And even Data's like, I have no records of France. Well, it's there.
Yep, there it is.
It's like they forgot that they wrote all that stuff in to be like, oh, isn't this interesting that he's like a French guy?
Right, right, exactly.
It's like, no, not really.
The funny thing I thought too was there's no really good way to say it. It's going to sound terrible, but it is just
Hmm.
what's happening. Is there's a guy in the background after that, like the waiter guy talks to him and everything, and he has like hamster tubes or like cylindrical things, and he is like rubbing them like up and down, and they're
Hmm.
making that Parisian music. And I was just like, why does he have to be doing that? Like, why can't he just be playing like a violin or whatever music he was
No,
supposed to be?
because it's weird future
Yeah,
Earth.
just like, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, I know.
yeah. I was like, okay.
Even like the clothes and stuff in the
Oh man.
people were wearing were bad.
When they cut to the woman upset that the other guy didn't come, which was a little
Yeah.
like ham-fisted, I was like, this lady is barely wearing any clothes.
Yeah, I know. Well, even the main like woman later on,
Oh yeah,
she has a pretty bad uniform as well, and she's supposed to be like working on a science base,
yes,
like in a lab, and her whole like
yeah.
shirt is open.
She has like a tie-dyed baggy onesie. Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is how people in the future would dress. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
It's an interesting scene. I kind of get why he goes down there. At the same time, I kind of don't get why he goes
No, I
down
don't.
there.
Yeah,
It's like I get
pretty
that he's
big.
sad and he never showed up on that day, and it's the perpetual.
What if?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel earned at the same time.
No. I mean, I like that they're trying to do like some Picard backstory for us,
Exact. Yes. Yes.
but I don't know. It
Yeah.
could just be more than a woman. I mean, like, well, what else would it be?
That's right. Can't be anything else.
No, he
He's
loves
certainly
women, but he
not.
loves space.
Well, I mean, the probably the best thing, I mean, to probably work on would have been that his mom killed herself, and he's trying to resolve that. I mean, that's what you
No,
want to
yeah.
write to,
Like this was the last time he saw his mom
right?
in Paris. He
Like,
like was telling her that he was, getting called away to be a captain and she died not that long after.
right,
No. It's got to be a
or
woman.
that she was having mental health problems, and he was trying to determine whether to go to space or to stay back and like care for her, and
No.
he made the decision to leave, and then she ended up dying, and
No,
now
that
he,
sounds that sounds stupid.
yep. It certainly does. I enjoyed how Picard decided to ask for Riker and Data as he was going to the turbo lift to meet the Mannheims, essentially. When he's talking to Mrs. Mannheim on the comms, and he gets her to turn off the force field so they can beam him up, and she does, and he's like, yes, and he claps his hands, and he's like,
Yeah.
and I'm going to sick bay. That's where I'll be. And then he gets to the turbo lift and is like, wait a minute, and then calls for Riker and Data, and they whip out of their chairs.
Yeah.
I just like that sequence just because it shows that Picard, for like a half a second to 2 seconds, forgot that like this isn't his girlfriend from the past, and like he's getting to see the girl that he digs. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the girl I left behind, and she's married to this other guy, and
Too bad she has a husband.
yeah, exactly.
Hopefully he's suffering from some time anomaly.
And then my favorite bit was just beam him on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, beam two aboard, right? And then he goes down to medbay and he's just on the floor.
So they have the ability to take you, right? Zoom, and then rematerialize you in any
Yeah.
position.
Anywhere. Yeah.
And it's like, definitely don't put him on the medical bed and then her just like standing next to the medical bed.
No. He could become a part of the medical bed.
Right on the floor. Like, oh, okay. Especially that the sequence where like Beverly runs over to get him up off the floor and they're like trying to help him. And it's just like, what if this guy is in really bad critical condition? Like, he's on the floor now.
Nothing bad ever happened from like moving a person around after an injury.
Right, exactly.
Beverly, what's he doing on the floor?
My mind is in two different places. I'm back in the lab and I'm on the floor. But then we get the most terrible thing I've probably heard. Now, I know I'm probably going to get razzed for it in the comments because people can be called anything they want to be called. But Janice is a pretty terrible name
Yeah.
because it's clearly supposed to be Jennifer and Janice. And they were like, but it's the future. Those names are together now. It would be like, we know there's a lot of people called Chad and Robert in our timeline, so in the future they'll be called Chadbert.
I like that. Chadbert's good.
But we kind of got into it in the first part. I totally agree because Beverly says at the moment to Picard,
Yeah.
when Picard is like, she's somebody from my past, like kind of explaining himself why he got kissed on the cheek from her in Beverly's office. And
Yeah, and
he's
she was
like,
like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I
got
can
it.
tell that."
But I'm focused on dealing with Dr. Mannheim at the moment. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, so that means we're definitely talking about this later on.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Gates McFadden or Beverly. I don't know which way it's supposed to be written. But did you find it weird that after she's talking to Picard about Mannheim, she weirdly leaves the room?
It was kind of weird, wasn't it? Yeah.
We talked.
Not now, not yet.
I was like, is this scripted? Or is this just like walking off
Yeah.
camera weird?
Or is this an acting choice? Yeah, it was weird. There's another weird scene like that too, towards the end when he's like he comes like to and Picard walks in, he's like, "Where's my wife?" And Beverly's like, She's right here."
Where's my wife? Is she all right?
She's right here.
Denise.
Paul.
Oh, yeah.
She like comes in from like right inside the yeah, it was just
Yeah. I know what you mean.
weird.
But we get a really great highlight, which is funny. This is the parts we love. I think that the turbo lift loop scene is really good,
Yeah.
especially the fact that they follow the three of them from the hallway again. We don't continue with the turbo lift group.
Yeah.
Like they cut away to them in the hallway and they're like, "What was that?" They're like, "I don't
That
know."
is true. Yeah, that is true. That is cool because it's like the ones that we had been like listening to are not the current timeline ones.
Right, like we totally give up on those three and follow the ones from the hallway. And it's
That's
like
cool.
that's a really interesting idea. I don't think like anything I've ever seen has ever done that, where they're just like, here's the people who are looping, like here's the
Yeah.
weird time anomaly people, and it's like, but we're gonna follow what they're doing.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that they like interact with each other too.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's very fun. It's like, oh man.
I forget what Data says, but he's like, I don't feel any displacement, and the other Data's like, I don't feel any displacement either.
Yeah, it's good.
It is good. Well, this is the halfway point, so go down to the comment section because you made it this far and you know the secret word, and that is Chadbert. Make sure you write that all over the thing. I want to see so many Chadberts in the
Chadbert, Chadbert.
comment. Chadbert. Well, speaking of that name, guess what we hear from? Chief Herbert.
Chadbert.
We all love Chief Herbert, who's
My
the
favorite.
transporter chief.
Yeah, he's my favorite. He's
Such a
also a job of the week too. Yep, they don't have an engineer and they don't have a transport
no idea what these.
consistent. It's just every week there's just a new person.
Yeah,
And
they
it's
do a lot of
usually
rotation.
it's
A lot of
usually,
rotation.
it's usually Data or Jordy doing that stuff anyway. So
Oh yeah, I thought that the really serious consequences of the experiment or whatever was happening, ripping a hole in the galaxy and changing reality, was like kind of a movie quality threat. And I was kind of happy that that type of like usually when they say that kind of stuff, it's like, well, this
mhm.
is why it's a $14 million movie because this
Yeah,
guy's experiment is ripping a hole in the galaxy, and the only ship that can stop it is the Enterprise.
Enterprise.
But I like that this episode was dealing with it, and they kind of deal with it very like kind of blasé, I guess.
Hmm.
Great.
There's like this glass thing in my lab, and
Yeah.
it's causing lots of problems. Like somebody should do something about it.
The really other funny thing is that when Janice Mannheim comes into the observation room to find Picard and talk to him about him leaving her there in Paris.
Yeah, yeah. While her husband's dying in medbay.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, so this doesn't make any sense unless you're trying to say that Janice is like kind of a whore. Um, but
He's like, no, I got scared. He's like, no, I don't want you to tell me that. I want you to make up some
yes,
crazy fantasy so I can keep thinking
living.
about it and
Yes.
living in it.
It's like, oh, I must
Oh,
have gotten the day mixed up.
you guys like need like therapy or something
Yeah,
because this is
exactly.
not
This is
normal.
not healthy.
Not
Uh,
normal and it's not healthy for you, you know?
the thing that made me laugh in that sequence that we're talking about, she says, "Oh, you couldn't find your a cab and it was raining." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, so that means either cabs exist, which
Yep.
how does that work?
I don't know.
Because there should just be like modes of transport, like
Yeah.
nothing like a cab. Okay, so let's say there isn't like a free Uber guy driving around, okay, because money
Yeah.
doesn't exist. That's how we're supposed to
Yeah.
view it. So it's
Yeah, right.
still called a cab though, or it's a saying, it's an antiquated saying that somehow still makes sense in the 24th century. Like
Right.
they understand what cabs are, but they don't get what city
Yeah.
blocks and Halloween is.
No. No, he was lost. He was lost in New York in 1950s.
Oh, I don't know.
But he
I know
took it.
that's a cab, but I have no idea what the rest of this is.
Maybe that's just what they call shuttles in Paris, cabs.
Maybe.
Yeah, the whole like society functioning without like money too is always such a weird. I mean, it's a weird concept because like obviously it's doesn't like society wouldn't function without
Something.
money and you know
Yeah.
incentivizing people to like work. But like it's just so funny. So like you telling me he goes to this cafe and he just sits down and he can just order whatever he wants and then that's it. And then
Not a
that like
problem.
maitre d like just loves his job so much that he wants you to bring you that like 5-star feel for just because he loves it.
Yeah, because you know what? At the end of the day, despite having the opportunities to join the military and go into space and see new worlds and new
Yeah.
planets and new
Some
civilizations,
some people just want to be waiters.
yep.
I don't know about that, but all right.
I don't know.
It's
I don't
weird. I'm
know.
just saying, it's just weird.
I agree with you. I do believe that obviously them not working for money is a possibility because things have worked out and the striving for materials is not needed because you just have free access to everything. Especially with things like
Yeah.
replicators and stuff of
Well,
that
yeah.
nature and holodecks and transports. Like
And
I get
that means that like transportation, gas, power,
right,
energy, all that stuff is free.
right, exactly. So it's
So,
like, eh. So I
yeah.
get like that part of it, but then when you really like boil it down like we're doing,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, so they have the opportunity to do anything, but they're just like, well,
Yeah.
he's still he goes out and he does this terrible thing, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like you feel like
But
it would be
that's what I mean.
automated or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, wouldn't we just have robots doing that kind of
well,
stuff
like the
too?
thing you and your wife experienced at was it in Disney? You had that little robot guy like come up and give you
Oh,
drinks.
yeah, in Orlando. Yeah, the
Yeah.
robot. It's a Japanese franchise restaurant, and the robot brings you drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I get it. It's a late 80s show. They didn't really think that kind of stuff out, but like you would think that
Mm.
that's what they would entertain more so than like we're joking about that this guy is like I would love to be a waiter at this Parisian restaurant.
But that's what I'm thinking about. It's not fair because I know some people do enjoy their jobs, and some people like
Of
even after
course.
winning like the lottery, like still go to work because they
Of
just
course.
enjoy like
Yes.
structure in their life, you know?
Yes. Yes.
But it's like you and me right now, like so say today, like we're going to work after this, and we're not getting paid for it because like our house is free
Yeah.
and everything is like taken care of, and we're
Yeah.
just going to do our job just to be productive members of society.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, what's the incentive? Like, there's no incentive. I already live in a perfect utopia. Like,
Right. Right. It's because you can't wait to help other people.
that's true.
I don't know.
I don't know. This feature sounds really terrible. I think the whole Paris cafe thing is funny anyway because it's like he remembers the day, the time, the temperature, the weather, what
Well, he didn't
table
know
it
the
was supposed
weather.
to be.
He didn't know the weather because she told him it was raining. He didn't make it raining, but yeah.
Oh, so it really was raining?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's funny.
After she says, you couldn't find a cab and it was raining, he's like, yeah, that was what happened. She goes, well, it was raining actually, and I waited all day. Yeah.
Cool.
But I agree. He knows the day, he knows the time. I
Yeah.
mean, it was 22 years ago and he remembers everything about
Well,
it.
it makes me assume that that was like a cafe they went to multiple times.
Yeah, I agree. But I gotta
But
tell
it's just
you,
funny.
in 22 years, I don't know if I would remember where I went with a girlfriend, like exactly to the day and the
Yeah.
time. Don't think I would.
No, that's
Yeah, and I
good
think
stuff.
basically we're touching on is the fact that like it's decent character building of Picard. It's cool that he has this like other side to him and all this, but it's also just it's really weird. It's just really really weird.
Yeah, it's just really forced when it boils
Yeah,
down to it.
it's a good way to put it. Yeah, I agree.
It's just really, really like, hey, we need something for Picard. We already showed his like dead mom, so we should do
Yeah.
something else. It's like, uh, okay, yeah,
So again, we touched on it in the opening. Beverly saying that she can't compete with a ghost of his past
true.
definitely shows that Beverly wants to be in a relationship with Picard.
That's the way I would take it.
And as a fan of TNG, I forget that the sequence happened, and I think this, for me personally, changes a lot of things in the future for
Yeah,
me. So
cool.
can't comment on it too much, but all you out there, you got it. You got it.
Uh,
How much did you enjoy Picard using a weird rhyme to explain something to Data? Was that definitely wasn't convoluted at all to do
It's
that to Data?
so stupid. Yeah, I don't know. And all of that was just tell him like, hey, so I'm not sending over like alive people to this thing,
Right,
so
right.
good luck. Right? I mean, that was the whole
Yeah.
point of
Yeah,
that
the whole point was
conversation.
like, no, you actually can handle the time loops and like you seem to be able to be right on the money. So it's like you're
Well,
indispensable. I don't want you to actually die, but you're probably the best person to go. And he's like, cool. Also, here's this really weird rhyme that really doesn't help you in any way and clearly confuses you. See you later, Data.
yeah, it was really stupid. Like honestly, it was really just kind of like I don't get it,
Yeah, I
but
didn't get it either. But that leads right into bam, 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 laser dodge.
yeah, that was good.
That was
That was
good.
pretty good. Yeah.
And I wasn't sure how to feel about that door design. Like it was cool with the fluorescent tubes,
Yeah, what's the point of it?
but I was like, is it broken? And that's why you have to step through it sideways?
Yeah,
Like
it must be, right?
I was like, if this is how the everybody gets in and out of the lab, like this is the most ineffective future door I've ever seen.
He also steps through it like if you touch one, then it like cuts your arm off.
That's true. Maybe that's what it was. Like he got it to kind of open, but it was like if you touch it, you'll get electrocuted or something.
He very, very much like avoided touching it when he walked through it. Yeah.
He kind of does the Indiana Jones thing where he like puts his hand out to be like, "Am I going to die?" No,
Yeah.
okay.
I like that the guy doesn't know how many safety things he has set up in the lab.
Well, it's because he's existing in two different planes.
Yeah, well, so is Picard.
That's true, and that's the point. We'll always
He was the
have
real
Paris.
choice. We'll always have Paris. What do you mean they blew it up?
What do you mean? Yeah. Okay, so we kind of poked fun at it, but I did think for the 80s, and obviously the remaster makes it look nicer, but I did think that the glass opening thing was pretty awesome and like it was cool looking.
It was cool, yeah. I really like when Data, I don't know, does whatever he does, but
Yeah.
he's like, there's three of them, And
Yes.
he's like, oh no, this isn't good. There's three of us. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was pretty good.
We'll tackle this part and then we'll get into trivia because that sequence comes at the end. But it's really cool. It's legitimately fantastic that he's like doing it and he turned and there's two more of him and then like the countdown starts from Jordy and he's like which and they're all talking to each other like which one of us is in the right thing and he's like
Yeah,
it's
I
me
am.
and then they all go together and I like all that, but it seems like you're on the same page as me
Mhm.
because I wasn't sure if it was me or if how they were supposed to handle dealing with this opening felt unexplained.
Well, it's time stuff. Who knows how that stuff works.
I was just like, how is a jar of antimatter being shoved into this thing fixing a weird rip in dimensional fabric of time?
Yeah.
Like, I was
How
like,
would it
what?
how would it not fix it?
Yeah, I guess that's another way to look at
I would like for you to explain to me how it wouldn't work.
it. Well, perfect time to get into trivia.
Oh, not again.
All right, now you're overacting.
So the episode was affected by the Writers Guild strike of 1988, with the
Nice.
result that filming had to be shut down while the show's ending was written. And I read somewhere that basically they like wrote it and then filmed it like a few days before it came out in May. Like at the end of April, they filmed it, which is not normal. Usually they have it
Mm,
done like a month in advance.
well,
And there were some weird back and forths with producers and the writers of trying to get people to do things while on strike, but refusing to do it because they're on strike and all this stuff. But the title was a direct reference to the 1942 classic film Casablanca. Riker recalls at the end a bar on Serona 8, and Picard recalls the name of it, the Blue Parrot Cafe, which is the name of Signor Ferrari's bar in Casablanca.
huh.
Then the obvious thing that we've been discussing in the original draft, writers Deborah Dean Davis and Hannah Louise Shearer wanted to create a romantic mood with the insistence that Picard do the wild thing, which I believe they mean have sex,
Oh,
discreetly during a commercial break, discreetly,
oh,
sometime in the course of the episode. The idea was vetoed by a number of men involved in the production, most notably Patrick Stewart.
yeah, he had something wrong with it, huh?
I don't know, like who would like if on it like seriously, I think if Picard ended up having an affair with Janice Mannheim in this
Yeah,
episode, I don't think people would have liked Picard going forward.
ridiculous.
So that's like the thing that I didn't write down in trivia, but I read. Basically, Deborah Dean Davis and Hannah Louise Shearer wanted a like very, very romantic, heavy-handed love story episode with Picard. And Maurice Hurley and I think Robert Lewin or some other people were like, no time anomaly stuff needs to be in this episode. And the two ladies hated that idea. They absolutely hated the idea. But obviously, it still got pushed in because those guys have the power to do what they want
Yeah,
and they're just writers. And obviously, we've had a lot of issues with writers and producers on the show. But nothing against the ladies. Obviously, it's fine to write romantic stuff, but this didn't feel earned at all.
no.
And it's weird. And I think widely inappropriate.
Yeah, it just felt weird too. Like even without them having an actual affair,
Yes, right.
their relationship just seems very weird. Especially too, like at the end too. I just
The ending is,
felt very weird, right? Where he's like, "We're
yes.
gonna go back to the lab and we're gonna like it," and she's like, "Yep, we're going back to the lab." I was just like, "This is weird." It was like she didn't want to go back, and then he was like, "No, no, no, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be different. We're going back to the lab." And she's like, "Oh, okay, sounds good. Bye, Picard. We're going to the lab." And he's like, "Yep, I heard you go to the lab." It's like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Yeah, we'll get when we come back when we come out of trivia, we'll definitely discuss it. According to the Star Trek Next Generation Companion third edition that was written by Larry Nemecek, the
Was
menu
he?
at the Cafe des Artistes includes such delicacies as croissants de lithium,
Shut up.
Klingon targ a la mode,
No, it wouldn't.
Triple dans la blancats,
No, it wouldn't.
and la antemata flambe.
No, no, it wouldn't have any of that stuff. I'm sure there's many, many Klingon delicacies there at that.
Many.
Yeah, get out of here.
And then I purposely skipped talking about it in the part of our discussion of the review because I want to talk about it in trivia. So there are 2 seconds of footage when Data is giving the definition of what a hiccup is,
Yep.
and we see Riker.
Mm-hmm.
2 seconds of footage where the CBS Digital Remastered team couldn't find it for the season 1 Blu-ray collection remastering.
Oh my God. Okay.
So it's 12 minutes and 25 seconds into the episode, and we see an up close, unconverted image from the original standard definition videotape. This shot is the only bit of missing footage in the entire season 1 collection. So I don't know if you caught it. I totally did, but
No,
yeah.
no, it didn't stand out to me.
Okay, yeah. So we come back from trivia. You talked about it. They have this whole thing where he's like, "No, Janice, we're going back to the lab." And she's like, "The lab?" And he's like, "Yes, but it'll be so much better, and I will be so much better, and things will be better, and nothing will ever go wrong again." She's like, "Oh, oh, Dr. Mannheim."
Hold me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
it
they
was
cut
ridiculous.
to the holodeck.
Uh-huh.
Well, Troy bringing Janice to the holodeck, right?
Yep.
She goes in, and she's like, "Wow, what is this?" And I said, "Are you kidding me that this woman who's been working with a scientist who's opening dimension portals to other
Oh,
realities and working in a science lab for at least 15 years has no idea
she
what a
was
holodeck
she
is?"
was blown away by the holodeck technology. Yeah, I know. It was ridiculous, dude. Yeah, it was
I
ridiculous.
could not. I was
I
like,
forgot about that. Yeah, it's really
"What?"
stupid.
It was really stupid. And it's
Yeah.
like if they're trying to write that like she's been so like blinders with whatever Dr. Mannheim was doing with the dimension stuff and like hasn't done anything else for the last 15 years. Okay,
Yeah.
I guess.
Maybe. Yeah.
But at the same time, it just like if she was some random person on a colony and hadn't done anything and they were low tech people, okay, sure. But like
Hmm.
this guy's doing bleeding edge technology that Data was the only one to understand what was going on. And like when they meet Dr. Mannheim in the med bay, it's like, listen, just talk to Data about all of your theories and thoughts because he understands it. We don't even understand it. And he was like, how is that possible? I don't even understand it. And he's like, well, I am an android. And he's like, an android on a starship?
Some kind of medical man. That's the thing. It's like, so the Federation future is so advanced, but then it's like holodecks and androids are just like blow their mind.
Yeah. But somehow him opening a tear in the fabric of reality is like, well,
Yeah,
just pour
it
some
happens.
antimatter in it.
I don't know. Sometimes it happens.
So, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to stand on this soapbox that Dr. Mannheim was split in 2 realities, and he said life was not like the life that we experience now. It's because he was Dr. Sigmund Freud in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and also Dr. Mannheim. That's what I'm sticking with, and that's it. I
That's
don't care if
fun.
there's a book out there explains what dimension he was in. That's the dimension he was in. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah. No, it's better than this. So,
That whole sequence in the holodeck feels terribly inappropriate. Like, it felt weird that her husband was in distress, maybe dying, and she goes to the observation lounge to talk about something that happened over 20 years ago at Picard.
oh, I thought I'd find you a pee.
And then it's followed by he's better now. He's way better. He's way more affectionate with her, apparently,
Mm-hmm.
because that was like
Yeah.
her issue.
Yeah.
And now it's like, you know what? Let's go back to the place where we were going to talk about our future relationship and like, let's spend time here together and properly say goodbye to each other in the area
Mhm.
where we were considering being possibly husband and wife.
Yeah.
That's not terribly inappropriate or disrespectful to Dr. Mannheim at all.
No, I don't think so.
It's called Moving On. You left her there. You don't. Doesn't matter if she still has feelings for you. She moved on. You moved on. Oh, well.
Yeah. Bummer, huh?
I thought it was funny, though, that they bring up shore leave at the very, very end of the episode. I liked hearing that.
Yeah, because that's how the episode was starting, was they were going on shore leave, which you knew they weren't going to be going on shore leave because
No, of course not. No,
they
no.
never do.
And I know that the Blue Parrot Cafe thing was just a weird way to also bring in Casablanca into the episode, which I get that this is also sort of like Casablanca with the whole woman from the past thing. I get it, but
Uh-huh.
I did kind of like though that little end part where he was like, "I know of this place," and she's like, "It's right across the men's dancing parlor or whatever." And then Picard's like, "Here's the name of the place, and you're buying." I liked it because it just felt like like the stuff we talk about in Enterprise and Strange New Worlds, like where the crew feels like people. They feel like these people talk to each other outside of just sitting on the bridge, kind of a thing.
Yeah. I thought at first when Deanna like took her down to the holodeck and she's like, "Computer, open the holodeck," and the computer's like, "Do you want me to stop running the procedure?" And she's like, "No, it's fine." And I was like, "This is a really lame way to get her to see like that Picard still like remembers Paris." But then I was like, "Oh yeah, the captain's in there waiting for you," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I'm like,
He
"That's fine."
always remembers Paris.
Because at first I was like, why are they taking her to the holodeck? Like, this is a really stupid way to get her to like
Yes.
see, like them to walk and be like, "Oh, I don't know why this is set on Paris," and she's like, "I do." That's what I
Yes.
thought they were doing, and I was like, I don't care about
I don't disagree with you at all. It did feel like they were going that way, and then it's like, no, he's actually here. Ooh.
You talked in the trivia, you talked about the menu.
Okay, yep.
The stuff that you listed that was on the menu is ridiculous, but I did like the menu was like clear. Like it was a clear
Oh,
piece of like acrylic. I thought that was cool.
that was cool. Yep. Well, that was the review. We appreciate everyone listening to our thoughts about that. But before we conclude the episode, let's do the thing everyone's been waiting for. So,
Yeah.
Caleb, who gets the Erica Ortegas Award for being the most unlikable?
I think it's the doctor's wife, girl, whatever her name was.
Janice Mannheim.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Don't like her.
Yeah, there's not too many extra people in this that have enough light of day to not be unlikable, so I agree.
She definitely played into like keeping Picard's and her relationship like open.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I didn't really care
Yeah.
for it.
It also that sequence where he comes down and Dr. Mannheim requests Picard to come to the med bay and he comes in and he's like,
Hmm.
"Hello," and he's like, "I'm sorry, I don't know all of the security measures." And he's like, "But be cautious. Tell your people to be cautious." And he's like, "Well, I appreciate that, sir. Thank you." He's like, "And now, Janice," and he's like, "No, did not come here to discuss your wife." And then he goes to leave. He's like, "No, please, please. If I should die, look after her." And he's like, "Oh, well, if
Yeah.
that's what you want."
If I die, I want you to smooch her
Mutual.
so hard.
Oh, well, I hope you don't die.
It's just so stupid.
It is stupid. It is really stupid.
Uh,
Okay, Caleb, who
yeah.
gets the Elizabeth Cutler Award for being the most forgettable?
The chief engineer.
Nice.
Where's he at?
There's not even one in the episode. I don't even remember if we even get a shot of engineering in this episode.
I don't think so. There's nobody down there to kiss, so there's no there's no point.
Next is the Mugatu Award for the best alien of the episode.
Worf.
Yes.
I
Great
just
job. Great
what
pick.
you want? I don't know what you want from me. It's just
Clearly, could we say that Bill and Ted are the best aliens of the episode because he was talking to
yeah,
them in the other
it's
half?
Abraham Lincoln
Yeah, exactly.
from the Bill and Ted universe. Yeah.
Yeah. Next is the Trip Tucker Award as the MVP of the episode.
Data.
Okay, yeah. Which one of us is the MVP? It's me. I'm the MVP.
I mean, he's the only one that did anything this
Yeah,
episode. So
very true. Next is the Spock Award for the best line of the episode.
I'll go with the fencing thing in the beginning. I like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Captain. I didn't mean to do that. And he's like, that's okay. It's just the moves of a desperate man.
Desperate old man who never made it to Paris. Anyway.
Well, that sounds like the perfect time to ask what gets the Shran Award for the best action sequence?
That's when Data rolls away from the laser beams. It's not the first time we've seen this. It's not even the
Nope.
first time I've given this award to Data for rolling out of the way of laser beams.
He's good at it.
Yeah, he's a nimble robot, I'll tell you that.
He's always like, whoa, whoa. When he's gonna... Then he's like, hey, just let you know, Dr. Mannheim didn't talk about the lasers.
Yeah.
Next is the NX Award for some sweet ship stuff.
I like the fencing monitors in the beginning.
Yeah. Kind of like your doctor monitor there in the background. I like it a lot. Yeah, me too.
Kind of.
I actually did
Yeah, it's cool.
legitimately like it. I think there was a thing in trivia talking about how Andrew Proburst had like designed it in the episode, and I think for the remastering they just made it look a lot better. So yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, I like that it lights up in the specific area that you got hit.
yeah. Next is the Porthos Award for the cheesiest thing of the episode.
It's probably like their whole conversation at the Paris coffee shop.
Yeah, don't disagree with that. It's painful.
Real bad.
My husband's finally fine and he's not ill, but I'll always want to have Paris with you.
Yeah.
Well, we went from the lowest of lows to now go to the highest of highs. What gets the Enterprise Award for the best scene of the episode?
I'm gonna give that to Data pouring the antimatter.
Oh, yeah. That is no doubt in my mind. Anytime I think of season one and I see we'll always have Paris, I always remember them all looking back to
Yeah.
him. Like that shot.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's very good.
It's a tie between like that and the turbo lift.
Oh, yeah, that's also a very good scene. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is what Caleb thought of the episode. We appreciate all of his awards. I know that sometimes he finds it challenging, but it's still fun. It gives us things to talk about and something to look forward to and look back on when we conclude a season. So now it's your turn to go down to the comment section and write what you thought of the episode. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you want more of it? And will you always remember that you have Paris too in your heart?
Yeah.
Let us know down below.
Next time on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, next week's episode, an episode I've been looking forward to Caleb watching, and that episode is entitled Conspiracy.
Ooh.
Yeah, so next week we're hoping to do something we haven't done on the channel before, which is a watch along, like a reaction video to us both watching it at the same time. Doesn't mean we're gonna skip the normal Retrek review. It's gonna be a little extra added thing to the episode. Hopefully I can get everything edited and out onto the channel in a good manner. So stick with us if it's not quite out on Saturday, Sunday, Monday time frame. It'll be coming out if it's not on those days, it'll be soon coming out. Looking forward to that. I'm interested to see what people say about the episode when we cover it. Because I think there's a lot of controversy about conspiracy.
Oh.
But as always, if you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. Share it with all your friends and family and Trek enthusiasts. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and ring that bell so you can watch the episode as soon as it comes out. Especially if we get that reaction video filmed and up on the channel, you'll want to catch it first before we talk about it.
Yeah. And comment first when you're there.
And when this video ends, make sure you go over to Caleb's channel. Caleb has an awesome prop channel, but him and I also do more podcast type reviews of other things. Yes, the TOS original films are on his channel, but also other things are on the channel, like Dragon Ball Z, the original Dragon Ball, Mission Impossibles, Jurassic Park, James Bond, things of that nature. A lot of Star Wars over there, too.
No, don't talk about that.
But let's hear from Caleb if there's anything new on the pipeline.
I just put out a prop video for the first time this year, a couple weeks ago. I made a Grand Admiral Thrawn Stormtrooper. So there you go.
He says in the video, like, he doesn't really make white Stormtrooper helmets, so.
Hate white Stormtrooper. Painting white sucks. It's just like, that's the reason why I don't do a lot of Star Trek stuff, because it's like clean and perfect, and it's not my style, you know?
Yeah, so make sure you go over there and find a video to watch, give it a like, give it a comment, share it with other people that you think might like it, leave him a suggestion for something for him to design that you'd like to see. You never know. I mean, honestly, some people have put some stuff in there from Space 1999.
I've made some cool stuff from suggested. Yeah.
So you never know. If there's a childhood show or something from long ago that you really liked growing up, he might have already made it, but you can also suggest it for him, and he likes digging into that kind of stuff. So
I don't think I've made anything from this yet. I don't think I've made any TNG prop on my channel.
I don't think so. Well, Batless, but
we
haven't seen it yet, but yeah.
Wow.
So leave him a suggestion, a subscribe, you decide. We appreciate all of you leaving all of your comments, your likes, your subscriptions on the channel. We thank Ed Mark Star once again for his Patreon support. But yeah, make sure you comment on this video so that when Caleb and I go to talk about it on Hailing Frequencies Open, we can talk about it there. And so, computer, end Paris simulation.
Yeah.
See you, guy.
It's just a maitre d' standing there. Because he actually works on the Enterprise. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get it.
But he doesn't.